Hey, everybody, welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm Scott Jenstad, joined as always on Sunday nights by Jeff Erickson. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We got a lot of FAAB to talk about. We got some big Tony Gonsolin bids. All that will be coming up next. Plus, the Buddy Hield game has arrived. Happy Sunday evening, everybody. A happy one here for both of us in the basketball world. We had the Warriors in Indiana playing, so it was going to be either a really happy night for Jeff and I, or a tough one. But it was a good one. Jeff, how's everything in your world tonight?
Doing all right. The kid is committed to a college. Pacers won a series, one game, one the next.
A beautiful college for you to go visit too.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So life is good. Going to Pepperdine, by the way. So very happy.
I only said that because it was on social media. I figured it was public enough that we were.
Yes, it is. It is absolutely public enough. It's fine. I live a kind of public life and nothing to hide. I'm very excited for it.
Your face is pretty much out there. You're a public dude.
Yeah, for better or worse.
Mostly for better. You are very well liked. But obviously we can talk basketball. We're here to talk fantasy baseball. Another active week in FAAB. We'll get to that. We had a certain Dodgers pitcher. They got a lot of triple digit bids. People are looking to add some pitchers. But Jeff, I want to start with Aaron Judge. This is like an insane month of baseball. Like in a season where batting average is down, offense is tough. A lot of guys are hitting in the 180s, 190s. I think the league average is like 240 something. Judge went 1 for 5 today, so he actually dropped his batting average a little bit. He's at 423, 510 OBP, 777 slug. Like this is an absurd start to the season for Judge.
It is. It really is. And is there any doubt that he's going to win the AL MVP? It's over. It's already over.
As long as he plays like 125 games, like it's over. It's insane how good he is. He's carrying. It's a bonker start to the year. 432. At some point he's got to get start walking him, right?
Yeah. Is he going to get Bonds treatment? That's the thing. Especially Bellinger's not hitting great. Jazz is on the IL. Stanton's still on the IL. Why wouldn't you just pitch around him every time?
Yeah, I think it's going to get to that point. He's so locked in right now. 420 whatever is just. It's a crazy year. I guess Ben Rice and Goldie are behind him, and Goldie's hitting I think Goldie's like top 3 in batting average in the league. He's hitting 340 something. Ben Rice has always been really good, but yeah, at some point you got to make somebody else beat you, right?
Yeah, you do. You do. Although, you're right. You do, and I'm not quite sure why teams haven't done a little bit more because it's not just the homers. That's the thing I think that's so crazy about everything. It's everything. He's just got hits coming out of his ears.
It says WRC plus right now, Jeff, is 270. I think that'll play.
Yeah. And yet the Yankees are 19-15. They lost again today. They have a plus 52 run differentials. That's good, but they're just okay. And a lot of that is their pitching.
Yeah, they're banged up too. They got so many injuries.
Yeah, the Clarke Schmidt today, or was that yesterday? He got scratched, right? Yeah, Clarke Schmidt gets scratched. They can't replace Will Warren right now, and Will Warren's not very good.
Will Warren's not very good. He was kind of a helium-ish guy in the spring when he won that job, and it's been ugly. The ERA is really high. He struggled again today. It's tough.
They got 2 starters right now. They're 2 very good starters, in Fried and Rodon. I think Rodon's season's being a little underplayed because he had a couple of outings early on, but he's been really, really good for the most part. Fried's been amazing. Everybody knows how good Fried's been. Remember when I'm old enough to remember when the Fried signing was widely panned.
Yeah. I think that was health related risk more than performance related, but you're right. It's just, and it's weird. He's not striking guys out. He's just getting outs. 101 ERA, 0.94 whip, ton of ground balls, not getting up a lot of hits. It's a pretty good combo. Yep.
Absolutely there. That's another one of those coulda, shoulda, wouldas in the main event. It was kind of an either or in one round and then almost made it wait 28 picks to us later, came 2 away from us, didn't get him. And then of course there's Tatis. Okay, there, I got rid of that. I checked that box. We can move on from that. My kvetching about not taking him instead of Yordan Alvarez, who didn't play this weekend. So that was cool.
Yeah. Tatis looks pretty. Although Tatis missed a game or two. This he got hit by a pitch. That like lump on his arm was nasty.
Yeah, and then he came back the next day and was like the star of the game, though.
He's really freaking good.
Ridiculous.
As long as he's healthy, he's really, really good. On the flip side, an outfielder I have in the main event that I'm hoping you can tell me what to do with right now. Taylor Ward in Anaheim, Los Angeles, whatever you want to call it. Worst OBP in all of baseball right now. He's at 215. He's at 218 after today. 6 home runs, 10 RBIs, hitting 172. It's weird, like hitting the ball hard. It's 47% hard hit rate, 13.5% barrel rate. A lot of it looks good. The strikeout rate's up a little bit. And this might just be a BABIP thing. His BABIP's 183, but man, Taylor Ward through 31 games. It is a really rough start to the year.
It is 7 walks against 35 strikeouts. That won't play in Peoria, especially because last year 63 walks. I mean, he was a guy that took a walk last year. 9.5% walk rate last year. It's 5.4% this year. Ks have only crept up a little bit, went from 24 to 27, 24.6 to 26.9 going into today. I don't factor in today's numbers, but like you said, the BABIP is just dreadfully low. Is he? He's hitting more fly balls. That probably has something to do with it. There. Remember, we always think, oh, fly balls are good.
Yeah.
You don't hit them out; they're usually caught.
Yes.
That's the problem with fly balls.
They can be problematic for batting average for sure.
Yeah, and line drives are down to 14.44%.
So my question for you is, like, with a guy like this, we're talking someone. I'm just looking at my main event. I took him in the 13th round. Is this someone you bench? Is this someone you're still it's not your top 5 pick where you're just like, I'm gonna throw him out there no matter what. You're not gonna sit, I don't know, Julio Rodriguez or someone that's struggling. You're just gonna play them. But what do you do with someone like Taylor Ward? Are you benching him for a while? He's so cold right now. Are you worried about sitting him for a weekend and then you miss some good stuff? What do you do with someone like this?
I mean, I think I play him in most leagues, but just because he's more established, I don't know. I mean, he has 3.5 full seasons going into this year.
Yeah.
I think I think he'll find his level. There's some concerning signs. Besides just like we were talking about there, I mean, he's just like, his launch angle is like preposterously high at 21% now, 21 degrees, I guess that'd be the angle, not percent. He's hitting it about the same exit velocity. He's just popping it up. That's the read I'm getting here. And I think he's been a little preposterously unlucky too. I think I almost trade for Taylor Ward right now.
Yeah, I think I'm going to play him. I think I maybe a couple more weeks of figuring this out, but at some point, it's ugly. But I think that with Trout out, obviously it's just another spot. They're not going to bench him. He's not going to start to miss starts. It's just maybe here and there. But I think I'm going to play him too. But I think he's on my watch list a little bit. I'm thinking about if I don't have a great it's hard to find a 6th really good outfield option too. If you have one, I can get in a 12-teamer. I maybe starting to think about, maybe benching him until he comes around a little bit. But in the main event type setting, I think you should probably keep playing him. I
agree. By the way, the Angels as a whole are just ridiculous. They are my favorite streaming target right now. They strike out a ton. Yeah. They are by far the least walking team in baseball, 5.9%. So like it's a team full of Taylor Wards, basically. And now that it's without Trout, you should, they're horrific against left-handers. They're just Andrew Heaney dominated against them. That was a good DFS night because I was kind of early on the trend to start your left-handers against the Angels. But almost every night you use your starting pitcher against the Angels. I've been enjoying that.
Man, their team OBP is worse than the Rockies.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, the Rockies having one of the lowest OBPs is also preposterous.
So they play half their games on the moon. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, they're hitting 207 as a team. They are God bless the paste eaters. We get to rip on them every single week, but I mean, they're there. They're just asking for it.
Yeah, man, this Angels offense is really rough. It's so funny because early on in the year, I remember we talked about they had the most home runs in the league. We're like, oh, maybe they're coming around a little bit, and it's really, really ugly.
Their goal is run into something or get out. I mean, that's it.
So sticking in the AL West, I kind of want a similar question. Marcus Semien's 34. It's been a really rough start to the year. Last year was really bad too. So we got a couple of years now. He hit 237 last year after hitting 276 the year prior. Stolen bases were down to 8. He did have 23 home runs last year, but he's hitting 182 after today. Only 10 runs scored, which is kind of crazy considering where he hits in the lineup. 14 RBI. He only has 1 stolen base. What do you do with someone like this? His K rate's never going to be a problem, but it is up 5%. It's 19.5%. It was kind of in the 14s the last 2 years. He is walking a good amount. BABIP's really low, so maybe he's getting some bad luck too. But I have a little bit of worry here that we may have a cliff with Marcus Semien.
It's possible. We've been warning about this cliff for about 3 years, by the way. Yeah, at some point, we're going to be right. Yeah. Hey. It's the year 2030. He's going to hit the cliff some point. Yes.
He's played a ton of games over the last 7 years. He never misses a game. He's one of those guys that after 2 weeks, I was like, oh, he'll be fine. And, after whatever, we're at 5-6 weeks now. I'm admittedly a little bit worried here. Today is the first time where I started to maybe look at some middle infielders, maybe think about finding someone if I do need to bench him at some point. But I'll admit I'm a little bit worried in this one, more than I am with Taylor Ward.
Again, this is another team malaise thing too. This team is awful. The Texas Rangers are awful against right-handers. Just horrible. They sent down Jake Berger. Part of that, he was so bad. They're so mad at Marcus Semien that they sent down Jake Berger.
And they cut Leota Tavares today.
Yes. So this is, and they won today. Is the funny thing, but I don't know, man. It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad right now. The exit velocity is way down. There's not a lot of like positive indicators. I guess it's not way down from last year. It's just not that high to begin with there.
Yeah. And his hard contact is 3% down this year. Swing strike rate's up a little bit. There are some signs here that maybe this is not just a bad 33 games.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. I'm trying to look at, dig in a little bit more there. It's almost like he's being more passive. Walk rate's a little up, but and this is a guy that never strikes out. 14.5% last year. It's 19.4 this year. That's still not like on its face bad. 19.4. There's a lot of people that strike out a lot worse that are productive, but it's the quality of contact too. So yeah, I'll probably, like you said, you'll probably give it another week or two, but they've already started to drop him in the order. Yeah, our latest note says he was coming around a little bit. So, but then I think as soon as we said that, then he had a couple of bad games in a row after that. So
a positive note in the AL West, Houston Astros pitcher Hunter Brown is, since that, like he kind of blew up early last year. I think I saw a note today that he has the best ERA in the American leagues in the last calendar year. If you take out last April, he has been great so far this year. And the key with him is the strike rate, and the K rate is really, really bumped up. He's at 31% so far this year. Walk rate's down about 2%. Swing strike rate's up to 12.1%. Hunter Brown looks flat out legit right now. 1.67 ERA, 0.88 WHIP. How high is his ceiling right now? Is this a guy that could be one of the best pitchers in baseball?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think so too.
I think, and you can just see it in the Cy Young odds for him. He had a bad first inning against the White Sox yesterday, but he's now fourth in the AL in Cy Young odds, behind Skubal, Crochet, and Fried, but it's not much of a gap either.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good candidates in the AL. I think it's still a very pitching rich league. Skubal, Crochet, Fried, Cole Reagan's, because he's missed a couple of starts and he's now like at 2,000 as opposed to like Hunter Brown at 550. Point is, there's not a whole lot of value in betting Hunter Brown now, I don't think, but maybe there is. Maybe he is the best pitcher in baseball there, and then 5-1 would be good. But I think I'd probably like throw a shekel at Cole Reagan's if I were in a betting state instead of Hunter Brown right now, just because of the price.
Yeah, and I mean the strikeouts are really coming on lately too. He had 7, 8, 3, and 4 strikeouts first 4 starts, 9 strikeouts each of the last 3 starts. Really coming on. Only 5 walks in that stretch. He's only given up more than 2 runs twice all year. I'm just one of those guys that is an automatic ace start every week, and he's someone that's moved way up since the start of the year.
Yep. And I don't think and I also don't think Brown's the same pitcher that had those 2 just bombastic outings last year. One of which was like that Royals game. I remember I still had the stench on my roster last year for a really long time after that one. But yeah, I think he's a different pitcher now.
Yeah, that was one of those there's blow up games, and then there's the blow up game he had in that one that are totally different. He had 9 runs in 2/3 of an inning in that game.
Yes.
So, but the team we haven't mentioned in the AL West, Seattle Mariners are balling right now. They did lose today, but they had won 6 games in a row before that. Best winning percentage in the AL coming into today, but passed by Detroit Tigers today. I don't think anyone had Tigers and Mariners as the top two teams in the AL on May 4th.
No, they probably did not. I certainly did not have the Mariners there because I was frustrated with them this offseason. Turns out they're just fine so far. If Jorge Polanco,
turns out their offense is really good.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, bold stance. If Jorge Polanco hits 390 the rest of the year, the Mariners will be good. There you go.
And hitting for power too. It's crazy.
Yeah. Polanco's healthy now. We've seen Polanco get hot. 2021 happened where he was a league winner those last couple of months of the season. And the thing is, the Mariners are crushing it offensively. Like they have the best road WOBA in base, or is it WRC plus in baseball? They've just been very good. In fact, I think they're just the best. They're one of the best WOBAs, period. Yankees, Cubs, Dodgers, and the Mariners are 4th overall in WOBA right now. That's pretty darn impressive. And
the wildest part of this is that Julio Rodriguez hasn't been good yet either.
No. Cal Raleig's been awesome though.
Yeah, 12 homers already. But Julio's at 212 and a 311 OBP. I mean, he's been one of the kind of down spots in the lineup, which is pretty surprising because we have how good they've been.
Yeah, well, Julio never starts slow, so there you go.
There is that.
Second base as a whole too. They've been really unlucky at second base. They've already lost 2 for significant periods of time. Dylan Moore, that's a big loss because he was actually playing pretty well, and for us fantasy purposes, he qualifies at 5 positions, so that's a tough loss.
And Ryan Bliss is obviously also out long-term, the other second baseman there. But we mentioned the Tigers, plus 63 run differential, best in baseball. They're rolling right now, too. Javier Baez is just like the fountain of youth with them.
The Tigers going into Anaheim. I mean, they lost yesterday on Saturday, but at the same time, I mean, the Friday night game was surreal, where Riley Green homered twice in the 9th inning. First off, Kenley Jansen.
I looked at that. I'm like, I hope Kenley didn't give up more than a couple runs. And I'm like, Kenley gave up more than a couple runs. That was awful. I think he gave 6 earned. It was brutal.
Yeah. Green got off to a terrible start, but your guy Torque is tearing it up.
Balling. I love Torque.
They haven't even had Parker Meadows yet. This team could get better. Just think if they were successful in trying to sign Alex Bregman, how strong they could be.
Before we get into some looking at next week, I got to tell you, in the NL West, we talked about a lot of AL West. NL West is awesome. Dodgers are 23-11, Padres are 22-11, Giants are 22-13. 3 best teams in the National League. I guess the Mets and Giants are tied for the best record. And then, but the three teams in the NL West would be the worst team in the NL, or the worst of those 3, the Giants, would be tied for best record with anybody else. It's a wild division. They're all really plus run differentials are all plus 35 to plus 45.
Yep.
This is gonna be a fun race all year. I don't know if the Giants can hang, but they're a fun team right now.
Yep. And the Diamondbacks are still like they're a team that can cause some double trouble too as well. They can score at least. I don't think they can pitch at all. Is their problem?
And I'm worried about Corbin Burnes right now.
Yeah, I would be too if I had him.
I like the right shoulder inflammation, but we don't think he's going to put them in the IL. I'm like, you're not going to put your ace on the IL with shoulder inflammation, please.
Yeah, well, and they don't have, and their 2 best relievers are on the IL too. That's the other thing that's really harmful there too.
Yeah, the whole will Puck or Justin Martinez close? The answer is right now neither. Unfortunately, Puck's out long term. Hopefully, Justin Martinez is not. But we're looking. You got a Kevin Ginkel or Shelby Miller preference?
Slight preference for Miller. Today didn't make it better.
Today was tough. We're bidding on FAAB. All of a sudden, he blew the save, and I'm like, I guess I got to think about that for a second.
And gave up 4 hits in the process. Yeah. I mean, I'll give him credit that after he blew the save, sometimes that like a Uber blow up happens. That didn't happen. He got out of it, and then of course the Diamondbacks rallied after that. So it might be Ryan Thompson that gets the next chance for all we know.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting until Martinez gets back. I decided not to weigh heavily in that situation at all, just because I didn't really know. I had some down waterfall bids on both those guys, but decided not to really focus on either one.
Yeah.
But let's jump into next week a little bit before we talk some news and notes and some FAAB. 7 games in the majors this year. This week we got 2 in the AL with the Royals and the White Sox. The Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Braves, and Reds also play 7. So just note there's some heavy games there. Rockies are home all week, Jeff, so that's good for the other teams. Detroit and San Diego go into cores. So it could be a lot of offense for the aforementioned Tigers and the aforementioned Padres this week.
Yeah, it sure could be. Yeah, Tigers. I mean, you got to be licking your chops. You get to face the Angels pitching staff, and then the Rockies. It's kind of like the Reds a week ago, where they got the Orioles, Marlins. Although the Marlins actually won 2 out of 3 in that series, it should be worth noting. Before I know there's we have a Marlins regular listener, Marlins fan regular listener in our group, so I want to make sure we give them due credit that they did take 2 out of 3 from the Reds, and they fight. They do fight. But
our former A's took 2 out of 3 from this weekend, though.
Yep, but Reds had that Orioles, Marlins, Rockies trifecta. You know, that's a good way to help your hitting stats.
Yeah, it really is. Padres have a nice week. We mentioned the 3 at Coors. They also get 3 at Yankee Stadium, so that should be a good week for Padres hitters. The Braves have a good setup. They have 4 at home against the Reds and 3 at Pittsburgh. Pretty good setup for Braves hitters. And the Dodgers, can't really pick up any Dodger hitters, but maybe if Andy Paz is still out there, he's been hot. They have 3 at Miami, 4 at Arizona. Good week for the Dodgers, score a bunch of runs too.
How dare you defame Hyseon Kim? But we'll talk about that also.
It's true. It's
Dodger
true.
Runners, at least.
Yes, Dodger runners there. I don't know how much hitting we're going to get there. But let's talk a few news and notes before we jump into FAAB. The biggest news over the weekend was Triston Casas. He ruptured his patella tendon yesterday running to first base. I think I put in notes likely out for the year. Everything I read is he's definitely out for the year. It's a long-term injury. Yeah. This is a brutal one. You hate to see this. You could tell right when it happened. He did something really bad. Significant knee injury there. Just a bummer, obviously, for fantasy purposes. Automatic drop in a redraft league, but that's a tough one. That's someone you took in at least I did, 7th, 8th round, whatever it was. That's a big one to lose.
Yep. It's a really big one to lose, and it's tough there because, he's never been able to stay healthy. He hasn't really fully established himself. So when he comes back, he's still got to fight for like lineup spot. What sort of player is he going to be? It's tough.
Yeah, it is really tough. Someone asked who the photo was in the picture. I think it's Kobe Mayo, by the way.
Yeah, it is Kobe Mayo. I was just typing that as you answered that. It's so funny.
There you go. There was another injury kind of late in the day today. Shota Imanaga left early. He went to go cover first, and you could tell he pulled up and kind of grabbed his hamstring, left hamstring strain. That's one that's hard to see that really being short term when you watched it. Well,
especially because he got in his previous start he was checked for a groin. So that's it's all interconnected, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely concerned about that.
Yeah, me as well. I think that ILs are pretty much a slam dunk. You just hope it's not kind of that 4 to 6 week variety, especially with a pitcher trying to get it ramped back up again. They take so long to get back going.
Scott, there were a lot of injuries today.
There were. I hate it. I just want everybody to have healthy teams and battle each other. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, there in addition to there was Jesse Winker. There was Royce Lewis coming back. We should talk about that at some point in time. Who else that I wanted to talk about? Oh yeah, well in that same game, I mean there was a blister issue from Peralta, and then Sal Frelick with his knee as well. It was another one there that was kind of an issue today. So just in that game alone, there was stuff. Rosarena got hurt today. Bad stuff. And by the way, I'm sorry with Peralta. It wasn't
it's a groin. It's a groin, right?
Yeah, it's a groin.
Yeah. They took him out a little bit. He pitched really well, too. He had 89 pitches, 6 scoreless innings, lifted him a little bit early. They don't think it's serious, but obviously that's one that they'll be careful with that because Peralta's super important to them.
Yep.
Jeff, over under in the chat, Royce Lewis games before the next IL stint. The line is set at 9.5.
Harsh, but true. And yeah.
Can I just say that line's probably pretty good?
I think it's probably appropriate.
It's a fair line.
Wrong line. There Sorry to unstar a comment there, but I starred the wrong one. Sorry about that. But
we mentioned Corbin Burnes earlier. He's missing his start tomorrow, Monday, with right shoulder inflammation. The DBacks have said they hope no IL. I think it's pretty easy, but I'm not starting him this week. He might come back and pitch over the weekend. I don't think he will, but it's against the Dodgers. Like I'm just staying far away from this one.
Yeah, easy sit. For sure.
Me too. Agree.
Yeah.
Maybe if that start was against Colorado on the weekend, maybe you don't have anybody good. You kind of figure it out. But with the Dodgers, I don't think he's going to pitch anyway. I think it's going to be a 0. I'm staying far away there. Speaking of the Dodgers, Tommy Edman went on the 10-day IL with an ankle injury. He's having a really good year. So obviously it seems like that's not overly serious. They were thinking that he wasn't going to miss much time. It turned into an IL stint, but I think that'll be a Dodgers kind of 10-day taking things easy on him.
Yeah, an appreciation for Tommy Edman. He's been really good as a Dodger.
Yep.
And the fact that he can play in lots of places helps them. It's just he's one of those guys that we kind of forgot about, and when he was an afterthought trade by the Dodgers at the trade deadline, and then he was awesome in the playoffs for them. It's such a Dodger move.
Did he won the NLCS MVP, right?
I think so.
Is either that the DS? I think it was the NLCS MVP. Yeah, and do they have a DS one now? I think they do now.
No, I don't think they do for that. Still,
do they not?
I could be wrong.
I thought they added one, but I could be wrong as well.
Possible.
But, yeah, so that's you just make sure you get Edman out of the lineup this week. I think he'll be back up pretty soon after that. You mentioned Yordan Alvarez, obviously a big pick there, first, second rounder for teams. Missed the weekend with inflammation of his right hand. It sounds like there was no imaging needed, but still something you don't like to see with one of your top picks with a big hitter. You don't want anything with the hands or wrist or anything like that.
Exactly, and you really hate to see it when they're facing the White Sox. I mean, it's
right.
not quite like the Orioles or the Rockies, but it's still you want your hitters facing the White Sox.
Yeah, you don't want to miss those games. Weird situation with over the weekend. Anthony Volpe left early on Saturday, then sat today. He felt a quote pop in his shoulder, but X-rays and MRI were clean. That's one that I'm going to need to see him in the lineup before I'm really putting him back in. I don't like that. Maybe it becomes sore. Maybe he's okay, but they do play tomorrow, so we should know if Volpe's in the lineup. They play the Padres to start the week. But that's one that I'm going to see in the lineup before I'm really jumping on board there.
Oh yeah, totally agree.
As someone who's felt a pop in his shoulder before and the next day did not feel good, I'm still a little bit worried on that one.
Yep.
A few quick notes. Some middle infielders. Isiah Kiner-Falefa went the IL. So did Otto Lopez. Just a couple of notes there if you're rostering those guys in the deeper league. You mentioned Clarke Schmidt was scratched. He's going to be scheduled to start on Tuesday now, so it looks like he is okay. So he had some left side soreness. That's always a scary one, though. You worry that he's going to get out there and pitch 7 pitches and tweak it again.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Especially because he's already spent time hurt this year too. Yep. And it seems like he's one of those, there's always something kind of guys.
Yeah. And he's got one start this week against the Padres. I think I'm just sitting Clarke Schmidt this week.
Yeah. By the way, I credit Fred Zinke for there's always something kind of mentality there, because we were talking about that on Tuesday's pod with Edwin. He kind of feels that way about Edwin Diaz a little bit, that every year there's always a little something.
Yeah. There. Yeah. So that's it's tough there. So some good news notes. Jackson Merrill, Padres outfielder, sounds like he's trending toward returning on Monday, which is good there. I want to see him in the lineup against the Yankees first, but it sounds like there's a chance he's back in the lineup Monday, so you can get him back in lineups for the start of this week. Also on the Padres, Jake Cronenworth playing in some minor league rehab games. He might return by next weekend, so you might get your first/second baseman back for next weekend. And George Kirby today, Jeff, he had a rehab assignment. He's touching 98 on the gun. Looked pretty good, and he's kind of starting to ramp things up again. If you took him, kind of hoping it was going to be late May, early June, I think we're kind of lining up for that.
Yep, exactly. What's funny is I got to say, you mentioned the Padres players. They just swept the Pirates. They've won 5 in a row. Take a look at their lineup today. Was it not overly impressive? As your DH, for instance, it's just one example. It's not what you'd expect from a team that's very good. I mean, it starts at the top. They also got Stephen Kolek throwing a shutout against the Pirates too. I mean, that's what. So
saw that.
Tatis Arias Machado. Okay, great. Bogarts as your cleanup hitter, and he has one homer this year. Campusano, Oscar Gonzalez, Jose Iglesias, Elias Diaz, Brandon Lockridge.
Do you know who is leading AAA in hard hit percentage coming into today?
I do not.
Luis Camposano.
Oh, there you go. Well,
we've
always kind of dreamed on him.
Yeah, I know. I saw that note last week. I was like, how could he not be up yet? But now they finally called him up. I have him in a DC, so I've been I've actually looking at.
I do too, actually.
You see, he's getting called up because I think I have Jacob Stallings playing every week, and I'm like, well, he's hitting he's 54% hard hit rate in the minors. He may not be leading anymore, but the note I saw was, but he's been raking in the minors. It'd be great if he could come around. He had 6 home runs, hit 322 in 25 games. Maybe we always get some late career catcher breakouts. He's only 26. I'd kind of like to see him get some playing time and see if this it carries over all to the majors.
Yeah. By the way, I thought I had him in a DC, but I don't. I must have had him in a league and cut him. Actually, is probably what happened.
You dropped him in that DC.
Not a DC then, obviously. But
I'm kidding, yeah.
Hey-o.
Anthony Gialdi asked in the chat, does it feel like oblique injuries up? Boy, does it. I feel like every day someone's tweaking a oblique at some point.
All since the start of spring training.
Yeah, there's been a ton of them, and they always linger too. It's just the worst.
Yes, it is. It is absolutely the worst. Seeing some chatter about scarf results in there.
I thought that league didn't go. Oh, is it 9:00 the Pacific that it goes?
Yeah,
I knew it was later than NFBC.
Yeah, man, tons of bidding in this league. I love it. I got 2 cheapos this week. I was hoping to get something a little bit more significant, but did not. But Gunnar Hoglund went for 62. Anyways, moving on. I am just like stimulus response guy today. Sorry.
That's like my Vegas main event team. The bidding in that league is insane. It's just so active, and I can't get anybody because everybody gets bid on every week. There's no sliding anybody through that league. It's wild. It's a really fun competitive league, but it's a little frustrating that there's all these bids, and people's gonna have to run out of money at some point. Maybe I can come in at the end, but boy, there's a lot of bidding. I mean, Shelby Miller went for 129 there. Hoglund went for 124. It's just super active and involved, which is great, but it's tough to get guys.
It is. I mean, every week you think like everybody's got to be out of money, but people are still spending good money after that, after guys like that.
I need everybody to be watching the Winnipeg Jets hockey game or something. That was a crazy game, by the way.
Dude, what a game. Sorry, Adam. Adam Brunchett is a Brunchen.
Oh, is a Blues fan? I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah. Like less than 3 minutes left, or less than 3 seconds left in the game of the game tire, right? It was like super late. On a weird deflection too, for that matter. But kudos to Winnipeg for pulling the goalie early, by the way.
That crowd was great too.
Yes.
Their goal and the final goal in double OT, that crowd was nuts.
Yes, indeed.
I'm not a big hockey guy, but playoff hockey is really fun.
Live hockey is the best, though.
Live hockey is great. I'm not a big hockey fan, but a live hockey game is really fun. I actually watched the Stars Avalanche last night when it was a crazy game 7. Game 7s are just great in hockey.
Yeah, game 7s in any sport are awesome.
Yeah. Unless you're the Clippers and you just bother not to show up for games.
Oh my gosh. That series, like I was looking forward to that series more than anything. And
I was too. The first 5 games were awesome. And then all of a sudden, the last couple was too blowout. But man, that Clippers no-show was crazy. That was bad. So, but let's jump into pitcher FAAB. I think I'm going to start with starters this week. It seems like there was a little more activity on that side this week. There was the last couple of weeks. We had a lot of hitter FAAB going on. Tony Gonsolin was the big prize this week. Very active bidding. I think I looked at the main event there where he was added in like 49 leagues. He was taking a few, but he was only under $100 in like 4 of those leagues. So really popular, really big bidding on Gonsolin. I think we're at the point where, if people need pitching, Gonsolin is a name that people know. He has a lot of success in the past. Aside from last year, he's always been really, really good ratio-wise. How in were you on Gonsolin? Obviously, he's on a really good team. That helps the cause, but minimum win bid was 77 this week. The high was 313. A ton of bids kind of in the 160, 170, 80, 180 range. One of the bigger pitching bids so far this year.
We bid on him, but it might have even been our biggest bid, but it wasn't close to being enough. It was, I think we bid like 45, 50 or so, and he went for 139. Doug Gruber, who we had on High Stakes Fantasy Advantage show with Tom Kesnick, aka the NFBC show on Sirius XM.
Wasn't he leading like 2 overall contests when you guys had him on or something crazy like that?
Yeah. He's good at fantasy.
Yeah, good dude too. I talked to him a couple times this year in Vegas. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah, I mean he's so deep that he was able to drop Landon Roop. Landon Roop would be one of the better pitchers available in some of my 15-team leagues.
He got 2 starts this week too, so you got to be really out on him and drop him right before the 2-start week. He's got. I know he's at Chicago to start this week, but then at Minnesota. So not an easy 2-starter, but I guess
and that Cubs. Let's clarify which Chicago here.
Oh,
that's
sorry,
a big difference. Yeah,
I assume you knew. If it was not, I was not happy about it. It was the Cubs. I guess if you're not going to start him for that though, then maybe it's time to drop him.
Yeah, and he's got a pretty high walk rate. Roop does. So I get it. The Giants just called up Kyle Harrison. We'll see how they're going to deploy everything.
They announced today is going to start in the pen.
Yep.
I think is kind of weird. Like, you call up Harrison and want to be a start, but I guess that's what they're doing.
But I'll say this in defense of the Giants, Harrison has never been like you're going to get him for 6 or 7. He's always been a guy that runs up his pitch counts. Why not let him be a max effort guy out of the bullpen? That might eventually free up Birdsong, by the way, to be the starter.
He'd be an interesting kind of piggyback with Roop too, just because he had 1 start and went 7, but he has had 5 innings or fewer in 3 of the last 4 starts. You mentioned the walks. Works the pitch count a lot, gets a lot of strikeouts, but he might be a nice coming for the 5th or 6th when Roop pitches.
Yeah, Roop got squeezed badly 2 starts ago against the Brewers that game. I think it was Tobias Myers on the other side of that. They both were getting squeezed. But you also, if you have your reputation of being a little bit wild, well, you're just not going to get any borderline calls either.
Yeah, I was in on Gonsolin. I thought I was pretty aggressive. I think I was in the 70s or 80s in a league where I could use some pitching, but I was pretty much blown away. He went for a lot higher than I thought he would. I was a little bit worried when I looked at last year. Last year, the strikeout rate was way down. The swinging strike rate was way off. Maybe he just wasn't ever healthy last year, but 103 innings, a 5 ERA, 1.22 WHIP, but that 9.7 swinging strike rate when his number's always been in the 12s. I was a little bit worried about that. Maybe he bounces back and he's that guy again. Clearly a real upside there.
Yep.
ERA was under 3 in 3 of the 4 years before that, so he's been really good.
Yeah, indeed.
You mentioned Gunnar Hoglund. A's called him up. He was like their number 2 pitching prospect, I believe, when he was called up. Pitched really well in his debut against the Marlins. Bidding was active on Hoglund also. How do you feel about this? I like the control. He really does not walk guys, which you like to see out of a rookie. He looked really good in his first start. I knew the price would get ramped up after that start, but that was in Florida. He's got to pitch a lot of games in Sacramento. I was a little concerned just based on the fact that he's getting a lot of games in the heat of Sacramento. I think that's going to be a tough spot to pitch.
Yeah, I almost feel like, okay, he's one of those guys, the first, maybe second start, he does well, and then teams start to scout him a little bit more. He kind of comes back to earth a little bit there. I hope I'm wrong, because I think I may have got him in a league or two somewhere, but I have too many FAAB leagues. But it wasn't my first priority, but he might have been my second or it might have been my third or fourth priority in some leagues.
Yeah, the strikeout rate's been up a little bit this year. He's not been a huge strikeout guy in the minors. He was I think he was 23% last year, and something like even lower than that in 2023. But 26% so far this year, only 30 innings in the minors, but has shown a little bit more of a strikeout pitch. He looked really good on I think it was Saturday against the Marlins. But yeah, I'm a little bit worried. As the A's they played a lot of bad teams so far, but as they play some good teams, I'm a little worried how much you can use him. I was in on him, but I was pretty far off the winning prices in most of my leagues.
Yeah. I want to bring up a guy who wasn't on our outline. It was my second priority over Hoglund. That's the Braves' AJ Smith-Shawver.
Yeah, good call.
I got him in the main, 32 versus 29. Chu and I did. We got him. I'll give Shu some credit / blame as it may be. 2 steps this week. Home against the Reds. I don't mind facing the Reds outside of Cincy. I actually don't mind facing the Reds in Cincy right now either.
Yeah.
And then 10-game stretch against the Marlins, and especially the Orioles and Rockies notwithstanding. And then the second start is at Pittsburgh, and I love that. I understand Smith-Shawver's numbers aren't great. 4.26 ERA. He's good to go. Got hit by a line drive last time out.
Yeah.
Pitched in Coors Field. He's got a high whip. All these things are plenty of reasons to be concerned. I'm still betting a little bit on the pedigree here. And
he's, I think that he's shown in the past he can be a strikeout arm. He was 29% in the minors last year. And, I know he struggled in the majors a little bit, but it was kind of a short stint in 2023. And still, he was not awful. He was 4.26, 1.11. I was in on him too. He's not available in either of my mains. I definitely would have been in on that. I did get him in yogurt. So there we go. I got him somewhere.
Yeah,
so I did have some bids on him. I'd like that too. I just think that I agree with you. I think betting on pedigree here, betting on a good team, or at least a team that should be good, going to score some runs. Acuna will be back at some point. I like that ad for you. And I think the fact that he was had that little red day-to-day thing next to his name maybe brought some bidding down. People were not totally convinced he was pitching, but it sounds like he is he's good to go. Good to go on Monday.
Yeah, 22 years old still.
Yeah, I like it.
It's weird because he's been around since 2023. When's he going to get it together? He's 22.
Yeah.
He made the majors at age 20.
That was he was not very available in many leagues, right? I think he was only added in 7 leagues, so he must have been probably 85 to 90% rostered. Yeah.
Dropped. It must have been dropped recently in my league or something.
You guys got him the second lowest too. Nice bid, 32 with a backup of 29. Well done.
Yeah. Well, hey, yay us. We were also able to drop Taijuan Walker in the process, so it was a win-win. And
I see that drop. That's a good feeling right there. Someone asked in the chat, "Can I trust AJ Smith-Shawver with 2 starts this week?" If you have him, I'm throwing him. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. I think you got to throw him.
Yeah, trust is a strong word to use, but I'm using him. I'm using him. I'm not using the word trust, but I'm using him.
I trust him for 2. In a 15-teamer, he would be pretty much a slam dunk start for me this week.
Yep.
Next up is someone who was 70% rostered in the main event, a lot lower than 12 teams. He got added in a lot of leagues last week due to some injuries. It's Ben Kasparius with the Dodgers. Electric arm. He's been really good so far. He's limited the walk so far, which usually is his issue, but 27% strike rate, only a 3.5% walk rate. He was like 12% walks last year. The one issue is the walks. If those kind of rear their head again, that'll be the problem. But the Dodgers are slowly stretching him out. I think he threw 3 2/3 his last outing, but he's in the rotation right now. He has 2 starts this week. So you figure wins are going to be tough, but he'll probably get to like 7 to 8 innings this week. So suddenly it becomes a kind of one full-length start, even though the wins won't be there. But I can see how he makes a lot of sense this week. He looked really good against Pittsburgh earlier this week.
Kind of one of those that, is you want to bet on the talent even before, you got the job. And he may, we'll see about how long he'll be. I mean, but Roberts has said lots of great, lots of things praising Kasperius. I think on we had a note on the 28th about how he saved their tails when Tyler Glasnow got hurt.
Yeah.
My only concern is, the distance, the length. 3.2 innings is his longest outing so far this year. Can he go 5? Because we need him to go 5.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll take the ratios and Ks, and those are nice, but he's probably not going to get wins as a starter.
If you're going to add him in a 1-start week, you really need him to go 5. Like this week, you could probably get with him, throwing 4 twice, and it still works out ratio and K wise. But yeah, if you get 4 innings in a normal week, it's really tough to do, despite the fact that he's really good.
Yeah, 23 to 3K to walk. We like that. Yeah, I mean, I love the talent.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to pick him up in keeper leagues.
I'm curious if the walk rate sticks, because it's been a really big issue in the past. And we were talking about, 21 innings so far this year. When he's had walk issues, he's been a double-digit guy all through his time in the minors. So it'd be really interesting to see where that walk rate kind of settles in.
Yep, absolutely.
Funny, Paul Storr mentioned the chat about Nick Pivetta. I was going to bring that up later. Pivetta lost a start against Pittsburgh this weekend. He got pushed back. He goes at New York and at Colorado. Although I know it's at Coors, but it's against the Rockies. But that's a brutal one to lose Pittsburgh and they get New York and Coors.
Yeah, it worked out for the Padres. It just doesn't work out for us. It's very annoying.
For sure. I know that Lance McCullers Jr. was not available in most leagues, but would you be? Are you watching the start this week? I think he only threw 3 innings today, but pitched pretty well for the Astros. He's not pitched since the World Series in 2022. Believe it or not, I think that's right. I don't think he's pitched the last 2 seasons, but I'd love to see him make a comeback. It'd be fun. I don't know if I'm in on it fantasy wise though.
I'm in the same boat. Classic, like root for him, but from afar.
And so as someone that struggled with walks his last couple of years in the majors, coming back off 2 years, you got to figure that's going to be an issue at some point. But I really hope it works well. But I'm probably not in on it fantasy wise.
Yeah.
Another guy who's coming off the IL who had some buzz in the spring until he got hurt. How do you feel about Ryan Weathers? He was throwing really hard in the spring. Kind of everybody piqued everybody's interest. He pitched, 3 shutout innings, perfect innings with 6 strikeouts in his first rehab outing. Are you in on Weathers kind of moving forward the rest of this year?
I mean, I could see it. I mean, it was one of those where I was kind of hoping to get him as SP6, SP7 in drafts, in late drafts, and then went from that to cross off my list, so probably, I could see it. I mean, 62 pitches on his last rehab start. You think he needs 1 more rehab outing or 2, or what do you think it's going to be?
I think my guess is probably 1, but he was, there's a lot of leagues where he was drafted early and then dropped. So he was available in some leagues. I don't think he was available in mine because I drafted pretty late, but I don't think he's worth a stab. I wonder if he can stay healthy at this newfound velocity, which was, we were so excited about that and he got hurt pretty quick. But I think
those things are intertwined, by the way.
They are very intertwined. I'm definitely intrigued for when he comes back, though.
Yeah, me too. So since we're on the Marlins,
yep.
If you have Sandy Alcantara, is he a bench or a cut?
I couldn't cut him.
You can't play him this week. He's facing the Dodgers again.
He's got 2 starts.
The other one's at the White Sox.
The White Sox, the second one. Boy, I was going to look over. I'm like, almost anybody else. Jeff, if I have him, I'm in a 15-teamer, I'm throwing him this week. I'm
Dodgers be damned, huh?
Dodgers be damned. I'm going to you just hope no rainouts because you better get that White Sox start in the second half of that. His control is a big issue, though. Like, he's a 14% walk rate right now.
It's horrible.
It's just not. He's not striking guys out, and he's walking guy. It's tough. I'm probably doing it this week, and I don't love it.
I don't either.
He's getting up a lot of hard contact too. 11% barrel rate. I'm kind of shifting as I'm talking through this. It's been really bad.
Yeah. It is. It has been really bad.
I'm
trying to
think right now if I could actually start him this week. I don't know if I could do it. It's wow, the Dodgers really smoked him that last start too.
Yeah. And they own him too. It's historically been good against them. I mean,
I'm throwing a 15 teamer, sitting a 12 teamer. How about that?
Yeah. The only place I have him is an 18 teamer. It's the RotoWire Staff Keeper League. And I'm a rebuilding team.
You probably got to, but you probably got to throw it there, right?
Probably.
18 teams. Oof.
Yeah.
Anybody else you like this week? We talked about Ryan Weathers. Any interest in Mike Soroka? I guess it's Michael Soroka now. Sorry. Really good rehab outing. He's going to pitch this week against the Guardians I think it's on Wednesday. He's probably going to come back. I'm kind of a little bit intrigued here, Jeff. He's been good in his rehab outings. Looked pretty good early on in the spring. I think I'm going to test the waters on Soroka.
Good luck.
Yeah. He'll get hurt again. We joke about Royce Lewis. It's only a matter of time for Soroka as well, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'll throw out the one I'll throw out is two actually. Ben Brown was available in one of my 12s.
Oh, all right.
So picked him up, even though I understand there's some flaws with his profile. It's not all sunshine and rainbows with him. And Colin Ray, not only has he been pitching pretty well for the Cubs, but check out his next 3 starts. Home against the Giants. Okay, probably not the best start, but not bad. But then a 2-stepper the following week. Home against the Marlins. Home against the White Sox.
Oof, love that.
Yeah,
that's good research too. Always looking that week ahead is really good because that's the kind of guy that if he pitches okay this week will be a fairly decent sized bid next week for that 2-step.
Yeah, you get him for $20 this week, or you get him for $75 the following week.
Especially if he pitches well this week against the Giants.
Yeah, and he's got a 1.46 ERA already. I mean, so he's been pitching well.
I kind of like Hunter Dobbins in Boston, who's filling in now that Walker Buehler's on the IL. He's been pretty decent too. He pitched really well against the White Sox and the Cardinals. He had a couple more runs he won against Minnesota, but he gets Kansas City this week. I kind of like that in a deeper league if you just need someone to stream this week. I think the Dobbins Friday at KC is a good guy to go for too.
Yeah, I could see it. I could definitely see it there. What did you do with Logan Evans? Did you do anything with Logan Evans?
After today's start, I just kind of ignored it, to be honest.
Yeah, I had him actually active in AL Tout Wars because, you can pit on anybody in that league. So I did back away a little bit there.
It's just such a big step up. I mean, he was in AA last year all year, and then when he had 5 starts in AAA this year, and then came up. I just, I was mildly interested, and I saw the start today, and I just kind of backed away at that point.
Fair enough.
Especially with Kirby rehabbing, going to be back at some point. It'll be a while, but I kind of backed away at that point. What did you do, real quick, what did you do with relievers? We kind of talked about Miller and Ginkel a little bit. I know that we probably both just stayed away from Rockies closers, but Zach Agnos got a lot of pickups this week. He got 2 saves for the Rockies this week. That's probably more wins than the Rockies will have any other week. But did you do anything there? What about the Dodgers? Blake Trinan and Kopech are both out long-term, the righty relievers. Evan Phillips got a save this week. Has looked really good. Coming back to, we forget.
That was so cruel. That was so mean.
Evan Phillips was really, really a high-level closer fairly recently.
4 or 5 turn closer last year. Don't remind me. I know.
That's right. That's right. You did take him. I didn't think of that when I said it.
Dave
but
Roberts. Oh, come on. Evan Phillips is very good.
Yeah.
It's just his velocity is not all the way back. Remember that was a weird rain game where they had a rain delay in the 9th inning. So I think they used Tanner Scott, Taylor Scott is the Astros guy. Tanner Scott in the 8th inning, in part thinking, okay, they might not come back in the 9th inning.
Right.
I think that was something to do with it because it wasn't really a righty lefty or middle or meat of the order sort of thing. But Evan Phillips has been a good pitcher for a long time. So no, I didn't bid on him. I was happy to see him succeed, but not really because I have a lot of Tanner Scott.
I bid on him, but it was down a bit, but I got him in a couple leagues for definitely under $10. But the Dodgers have 7 games this week. The last 4 against Arizona, you could certainly see Tanner Scott come in the 8th to face Corbin Carroll sort of thing. I just kind of like Phillips in a week where they have 7 games. If I don't like my 9th pitcher, I think there's someone that could, you steal a win, you steal a save. Kind of in case of emergency break glass kind of guy.
That's my Hayden Bird song. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It just, I don't have good matchups this week. I want to get something going. A 7-game week. I think that I'll probably throw Evan Phillips out there in a couple leagues.
Yep. I get it for sure. Yeah. We got to address Arizona. That's the one team where there's an opportunity. Yep. We know the closer job is open for sure with the top 2 relievers hurt. Did you prioritize Shelby Miller, former league mate of ours in the Z Dynasty League, or Kevin Ginkel? Who did you prefer?
I went back and forth. We mentioned earlier that Shelby blew the save today. Ginkel gave up a run too. I prioritized Ginkel a little bit. I think he's more of a prototypical closer type pitcher for me. I don't know if they'll necessarily use him that way. Maybe they want that in the 7th and 8th, but I think Ginkel's kind of the better 1 inning gas it out kind of guy. So I was a little bit higher on Ginkel, but I admit that if they split it or Ginkel, they want to use Ginkel in the 7th and 8th. It's more a multi-inning guy who get it, but I think it's more likely that Ginkel gets. I take Ginkel for more saves the rest of the way.
I can see it,
but it matters because Puck's out long term, and who knows what happens to Justin Martinez?
It's a shoulder. Yeah. For a guy that throws 100. I mean, it's crap. This is likely to happen.
Speaking of guys that throw 100, I still can't believe Kyle Sowers hit that home run off Mason Miller, Oppo, on 101.7. That's crazy home run.
Yeah. It's funny. I stepped away from that game to go watch the Kentucky Derby, so I didn't see it. I saw you text me. I'm like, okay, wait. Because I stepped away when it was 6-5, and he had already given up 1 run.
Yeah, the crazy thing was he had a walk, and then he struck out 2 guys. I'm like, oh, this is going to be another easy Mason Miller save, and all of a sudden it just went crazy, all really fast.
Yep. And, the other thing too is that, I think, we got another save chance today, and Miller wasn't available because he threw so many pitches yesterday. So it was an extra little twist to us there. Yeah. But he'll be fine.
Tyler Ferguson got the save. I think that's who it was today.
Ferguson got some saves last year too. He's actually a pretty good pitcher. He's just they also have another kid on that team too. That's kid Sterner, who's been pitching very well. He's like 28. He's not a kid. But he had a 31% strikeout percentage in AAA for the Rays system last year. They just didn't have enough 40-man roster spots. They swooped in and claimed him, and Sterner, I don't think, is allowed an earned run yet this year, and he's striking out a decent number of guys. Does have a high walk rate in the past, but I think he's been a little lucky. But nonetheless, that caught my eye in a 1 mega deep league that I'm in. He was on my waterfall.
Yeah, I think Mason Miller will be just fine, though, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some hitters before we jump out of here. There were a number of interesting hitters, but there was no Nick Kurtz this week. There was no Augustin Ramirez this week, but Kobe Mayo and Haesung Kim were both called up from the minors. Kobe Mayo, obviously a big prospect for the Orioles. Haesung Kim, a signing from the international signing from the Dodgers over the offseason, who kind of went down. He kind of was signed originally. We thought he was going to be a starter. Then went down to the minors, could kind of get some seasoning. What do you feel about these two guys? Was there one you prioritized? I'm just worried that I don't know how much Kim's going to play. Edman's not really out long term. It doesn't sound like. I was more on Mayo, but I'm worried about his playing time too. Once Westberg comes back, it's supposed to be a short-term injury. I kind of wonder if both these guys might be back in the minors in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I had limited bids on both for that reason. I mean, in one league, Christopher Morel is my third baseman, so I might as well at least throw a dabble at that. I think I ended up with Muncy instead, which he was cut and he's finally starting to show some signs of waking up. So I was like, okay, I'll go that route instead.
I was going to call him the left-handed Christopher Morel. So okay,
there you go.
Oh my God, Morel's strikeout rate is 39.2%. Holy moly! Yeah.
Max Muncy has 1 home run. It was this week.
It was this week though. I think he felt like he had 1 hit until this week too. He's been really. He seemed like he's coming on a little bit though. Yeah.
5 RBI from him.
Yeah, but he plays on a team that doesn't score any runs.
Yeah, so totally acceptable there. But
you're talking about the Dodgers, Max.
Yeah.
It's been a weird year for him. There's a couple of mentions in the chat about Evan Carter. We will get there in 1 second. I like that as a bid too. But we had a lot of kind of guys that were surprising in this week. I mean, Javier Baez is eligible at third, short, and outfield. Been playing well. Jeff McNeil is back. Miguel Vargas with the White Sox. He's mostly rostered in main event, but a lot of 12-teamers. Is he finally arrived is the question. Like, he was this huge prospect and could not hit. The first 3 weeks of the season could not hit. Last couple weeks have been really good. Maybe he's finally something's clicked on there. What'd you do with these two veterans and the kind of the young guy who might be breaking out?
So let's start Javier Baez because I think he's had a week. First of all, he's been moved to center field. We'll see what happens when Parker Meadows comes back, but obviously they thought that it was a case there where that Baez could help.
Made a couple of nice plays in center field too.
Yes, he did, and. Ian Kahn, who is very good at fantasy baseball. You've heard him on our podcast before. He used to kind of co-host our Dynasty for a podcast for a while. He's in I'm in XFL with them and in AL Tout Wars with them. In XFL, we had our monthly it's not FAAB. It's a snake draft, actually.
Okay.
Monthly waivers. He prioritized Baez, and he said he's making a point of adding him everywhere he can. He's a really good athlete. He's healthy now. What if this is the Baez that they were trying to sign like a couple of years back? It's just once you skill, you own it sort of thing. I could see it a little bit. You have to squint a little bit there. I wouldn't like him in an OBP league, but I think there's some talent. Now, I'm curious to see what happens when everybody is back. Trey Sweeney had himself a week too. I think 6 RBI today. So I think they want to keep Sweeney at shortstop when Meadows returns. But if Sweeney goes into extended slump, maybe Baez gets the job back there. I don't know. But point is, a smart player is making a point to add him. You have my attention.
Yeah, there's a question in the chat about, how's the lineup work out with Vierling and Meadows super close. I don't think Meadows is that super close, to be honest. I think we're talking about maybe June, end of May, something like that. He's just starting, he's taking batting practice, playing catch. Like, I still think we're a month away, and you got to figure he's going to do it a pretty extended rehab. So Vierling, yes, but I think Baez has built a little bit of a leash right now. I think the Meadows one would be more interesting when he comes back, but he's playing well. And they had that really nice catch, robbed a home run in center field. It's fun. I hope this works. I like Javier Baez. He's a fun guy to watch. He was so fun when he was really good. I know he hit $184 last year, so there is some stuff. But that was the 220 BABIP. Like, that's not going to happen again. It's 375 right now. But if it settles somewhere in the middle, he might be all right. Not a lot of hard contact, which kind of pulled me off him a little bit as I got a little deeper.
Sure,
but it's a fun story right now.
Yeah, and the Tigers are faking third base right now too, by the way. McKinstry is hitting for average at least. Yeah. Chase Young is hitting 107. So that's not going to last much longer. Ibanez is just a lefty killer.
Yeah. And Vierling can play in so many spots. They can figure out a way there. And he probably sits against some righties anyway. So I think if Baez stays warm, I wouldn't say hot. If he stays warm, I think the leash is pretty good till Meadows comes back, which is probably a month away.
Yeah, and Baez, by the way, is their only right-handed outfielder, unless Vierling plays the outfield.
Yeah.
Because I guess Wenzel Perez, but he's on the 60-day, so he's not coming back anytime soon. But Green's a left-handed hitter. Carpenter is lefty and also has pronounced lefty-righty splits in the past. Meadows is a lefty hitter whenever he's back. So, and it's not going to be anytime soon anyhow. But point is, there's space. There is some space to make this work out. You could even see a scenario there where, Colt Keith could sit against lefties also. Another one. And Trey Sweeney's a left-handed hitter. Man, this team is the anti-Astros.
Yeah. I needed outfielders in the league pretty badly, and I kind of I didn't go aggressive, but I had a decent-sized bid on Brendan Marsh. I think that the more I looked into him today, I got a little more interested. I know that he doesn't hit high in the lineup, has had some batting average problems, but he hit 249 last year with 16 home runs and 19 stolen bases with a 10% barrel rate and a 47.5% hard hit rate. I know he strikes out a ton. It just kills the batting average because he strikes out so much. He was 32% last year, but I think fantasy-wise, Marsh is someone that, if he get timed okay, I'll give you some speed and power, and it won't kill you, hopefully, with the batting average. He might. He's got that opportunity, but never hit below 245 in his career, so he always seems to kind of figure it out, even with the strikeouts.
Good lineup, good ballpark. Yeah.
I
see it.
Yeah, I was in on him. I'm looking here for 34. I was a little bit high. The backup was like 17, but, I've been playing Tommy Pham and other guys, and my outfield's I had Wyatt Langford, and then I had Jackson Merrill, so I've just been decimated in the outfield, and I think that Marshall gives you someone that's playable. You can slot in there for some periods. At least you get some kind of fancy goodness from him.
Yep. You can, and I think that's an interesting play to go ahead and go about that route there. Who else did I get up this week? Not too many big hitters this week for me, but
I still think there's a lot of guys that were like 50% rostered. So some leagues are available. Someone like J.P. Crawford has been leading off. He's 58% rostered. Chase Madroth is back now. He was injured. Now he's back. He was at half owned in the main event too. Zach DeCenzo and Colt Keith were kind of in the range too. I felt like there were a lot of like guys available in half the leagues that were interesting, but nobody that was like a huge bid at all.
Yeah, I like DeCenzo. It's someone we added a week ago.
I remember we talked about it a little bit last week. Do you think that they figure out the playing time here? Because it feels like it's just a little crowded right now. Do you think that Cam Smith's going to go center field?
Maybe. It's also possible that Cam Smith could go to the minors. He sat out the lineup again today.
Yeah.
he's on it. James Anderson was on our show, on our Sirius XM show, and he actually hosts himself on Fridays. And he was talking about how it's not a great fantasy line, but given his circumstances, he's holding his own at the big league level. However, these sit outs, he sat the last 2 days, as a matter of fact. It wasn't just yesterday, not just Sunday, but also Saturday. DeCenzo's the guy who's getting prioritized in playing time there. So you could see a scenario there where he plays more. So
the weird thing with Cam Smith is he has 3 home runs, 10 RBI. Three of those and 8 RBI came in 2 games. Like, he's had 2 good fantasy games the whole season so far. He's had 2 big games, just nothing else. And he's striking out a lot. And it's one of those prime guys that, the strikeout rate was 15% in the minors, 18% in the minors, whatever it was last year. Now it's 30%. It's hard to hit. It's hard to not strike out that first time through.
It is. It really is. Tyler O'Neill available in some leagues.
He was available in my RotoWire Online Championship 12 teamer, and I actually got him.
He was available in our main and my online championship.
He's available in your Mets. That's an interesting drop in a main.
Yeah, Shu and I, that was our priority. We didn't prioritize enough. He went for 77 we were the second bid at, I think, 34, but he's coming off the IL pretty soon. It's not going to be it's not going to be an extended trip. I mean, this is a guy we're drafting in the first 20 rounds earlier in, first 15 rounds. Sure.
He went for 73, you said?
77.
So he was available in 5 main events. He went for 73, 77 in yours, 128, 169. And Jeff, the high bid was 522.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think that was Tyler O'Neill's girlfriend, but still 522 is that's a lot of money right there. But I mean, he had 31 home runs last year. You don't get that guys like that available in the main event very often.
Exactly. Wow. So credit to Don Warner for getting him in our main for only 77. Even though
77 is a pretty good bid on a guy that hit 31 home runs last year.
Absolutely.
A couple of interesting stash possibilities. Jordan Lawler, 39% roster in the main event, available in some, not in others, been dropped across the board, but in some leagues, but hitting really well. Maybe the time has come there. And also Matt Shaw in Chicago. He was up to start the year. We saw him in the series in Asia, and he's starting out the gate, and then he got sent down, hitting really well in AAA right now. I got to think he's probably back on the call up pretty quick here.
Yeah, and to the point where the Cubs, Craig Counsell didn't give a timeline, but they said the plan is for him to eventually be back as the starter at third base. And the Cubs are faking third base right now anyhow.
Where are they starting? What are we talking, like John Birdie at third, kind of, and little Nicky Lopez? Is that what they're doing?
I think that's what they're.
Justin Turner's not playing third, right? Just DHing.
As far as I can tell, yeah. I think that's the case. Brujan has gotten some starts there. Yeah. It's just, I
think Shaw's the answer. I think that was just you need to go down for a couple weweeks, figure this stuff out, and beat back. Yeah, beat back pretty quick. I think he's a nice ad right now. He was 81% rostered still in the main event, but 21% rostered in 12-teamer. I think when he gets called back up, he's a rosterable 12-team guy too.
Yep, I'd agree.
How do you feel right now about Zach Geloff? He's on his rehab outing. This is someone that was really good 2 years ago with the A's and then really bad last year. He hit 211 last year, but still 17 home runs and 25 stolen bases. So fantasy-wise, still a couple of categories there. Strikeout rate was monstrous last year, 34%. He really struggled with swing and miss. But you got to think when he gets called back or he's done with his rehab, he's ready to go. You got to think he's playing every day for the A's, right? They're kind of faking infield a little bit. You could put Luis Arias has been good, but you could put him at third and then Geloff go back to second. I got to think he's going to come up and play.
Not for me.
You're out.
I had him last year in a couple of leagues, and I just
watching him last year will make you out.
Yeah, the Ks are just so high. He was a cross off even before he got hurt because I don't want that one guy that gets a ton of at bats and sinks my average.
Yeah, but 25 stolen bases last year, got some pop playing in Sacramento all summer. You could see a way where it does work out, and he was really good in 2023. The strikeout rate was at 7% lower at 27%, still high, but manageable at that point. 14 home runs and stolen bases in 69 games. He was really popular in drafts last year. I'm kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I think as he gets a little closer and he's available to leagues, I might dabble a little bit.
You know what? when I express doubt and you're like open-minded to it, usually end up being right. So I'll open my mind just a little bit.
If he strikes out 34% of the time, it won't work. I mean, he'll hit 210 again. So he's got to drop that back to a, high but manageable level rather than a high but completely awful level at 34%. And then, the swing or the hard hit rate went down last year. The barrel rate went down. It was just not a good year. Maybe that was just a sophomore and maybe people adjusting him. Maybe he can adjust back, but there's enough power speed combo. I think you have to at least think about him in fantasy leagues.
Yep.
Was there anybody else you liked on offense? That was kind of the list I had. I had some other names. If you need a catcher, I think Connor Wong is perfectly fine. He's 70% rostered in the main event, coming back with the injury. He's only 26% rostered in 12-teamers, so I think that he's perfectly manageable there. If you've got someone who's underperforming, if you're even playing Drake Baldwin, he's not playing enough, that sort of thing. I think that Wong fits in nicely there. Interesting enough, Jeff, I had 2 leagues with Bo Naylor. I bid on Agustin Ramirez in both of them. Got him in one and not the other last week. Bo Naylor had 3 home runs this week, so I was happy in the one league, and it's a main event. But then the other league, I'm like, oh my gosh, I dropped 3 home runs, and Agustin Ramirez went 1 for 20. But I know you can't judge it in 1 week, but Ramirez is already 3 home runs behind Bo Naylor.
Yes, he is, and bad week for Ramirez, of course.
Yeah,
part of that was facing the Dodgers. I will, I'll give it credit for that. Earlier in the podcast, Thomas Power said, I hope I didn't miss the Roman Anthony talk. We didn't really talk Roman Anthony there with all the Red Sox injuries, including the big one to Triston Casas. That's something we should, looking at what they're going to do at first base is not settled right now. I don't think
is there talk of Devers playing there or no?
There's talk of Devers not playing there.
Okay.
That's more what I've been seeing.
Okay.
But logically it makes sense, wouldn't it? Although, I mean, I guess you could just put Anthony the thing is you don't want to put Roman Anthony at first base. Todd Zola was suggesting they might do that with Willie or Abreu, but I think that's kind of silly because Abreu is a plus defender.
Yeah.
Great arm.
Dude, he throws some guys out from right field. By the way, I love Willie Abreu. That dude can hit.
Yeah. But
I love the player. He's one of my favorite guys to watch hit.
Yeah, but at the same, and so maybe like Anthony could go to center field and Rafaela, they could give up on him or put Rafaela at first base. I don't know. Rafaela is not doing anything better. He's hitting 208, 270 on base. Yeah. He actually, that's probably the most likely pathway for Anthony. But point is, they've got Romy Gonzalez and Abraham Toro at first base right now.
Romy Gonzalez hitting 320, but we know that's not going to last. That's not who you want as your first. It's more of a utility infielder than a first baseman. It's a really good question because they've got this, stud beast of a prospect who's killing it, but you have to figure out a way to do it. Anthony's 20. Do you think that they want to bring him up already? He's killing AAA because, by the way, my trivia earlier, he passed Luis Camposano. He has a 60% hard hit rate in AAA. Is that good? Crazy number. Yeah, my God, that's nuts. He's hitting 290, 5 home runs in 28 games, only 21% K rate. Walk rate's at 17.7%. That's a hell of a line for a 20-year-old, even in AAA.
Yep, turns 21 in about a week, actually.
Yep.
So
the question is, do you rush him, and is it actually rushing him? Like, is he just ready to hit?
I think it's a good question. I think the Red Sox are trying to buy some time, but wow. Kelly Ugansky asked, by the way, do we see?
Hold on, as you go before that though, if you move Devers to first base, then I guess you just have you have an outfielder kind of DH a day, or you just kind of move it around then, right?
Yeah, I just think it'd be weirder to put one of those outfielders at first than at DH, but maybe that's just my mindset.
No, I think so too, because I think you want Duran, Abreu, and either Rafael or Anthony in outfield. I don't think you want one of those guys playing first base, and you definitely don't want your 20-year-old stud playing first, like you said. Mm-hmm. And Rafael could played infield in the past. I don't know if he can play first base, but Ron Washington will tell you it's relatively easy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's incredibly hard.
Incredibly hard. It's beautiful. That's a great scene. But I don't know. It's an interesting question. They got to do something with Casas out. There's certainly a hole that one of these young guys get called up pretty quick, I imagine.
Yep.
Sorry, you had one more question you want to ask. Chase Burns, you said?
Chase Burns was brought up. And Kelly asked me because I am the Reds guy. He just got promoted to Double-A. I think we need to slow the roll a little bit here. Yes, he's been awesome there, but It's a leap from double to AAA. It's a bigger leap from AAA to the majors. He's had 5 professional starts. I would not recommend doing that. And I also think the Reds can afford to kind of bide their time a little bit as far as pitching goes. Pitching is not their issue. Starting pitching at least isn't their issue.
No.
It's their bullpen that's a real I think it's still a little bit of a problem. And honestly, their bigger problem is the offense. It's the hitting. I think that's the Reds' biggest problem. And I don't see a ready way to improve it. It's not in their farm system for sure. Getting Austin Hayes back would help, but you've got a collection of, on their best day, they could be pretty good type of guys.
They really do. Like you look at Friedel, Steer, Fraley, like a lot of the guys, like in their best day, Lux, great. But you're right.
There's Ellie and there's everybody else.
Yeah. And I'm hoping it's Ellie and Matt McClain and everybody else. I think Matt McClain will be fine.
I hope Noelvi Marte too. I think I still hold out hope for him.
And Gavin Lux is hitting 311, so he's fine. But he has 1 home run, 1 steal. Like he's still kind of just a guy, but good, but not who you want hitting 4th.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Someone in the chat mentioned to Andrew Painter. I did have him on our list here. If he's available, his rehab got moved to AAA. He was a really big prospect at one point, but you just wonder like how much length are we getting out of Painter starts this year?
Yeah. I think he'll be up by July. Be my guess. Maybe sooner.
I just wonder, he threw 103 innings in 2022 and 11 since. Like he's not going out there and throwing 6-7 innings at a time, right?
I think they said, did we hear something to the effect that he's got about 100 innings in him this year? Or did I miss that? That
certainly could be the case. I'd be shocked if they went to 100 innings with him after not pitching for 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, he's throwing very short stints right now. I mean, that's part of the issue there. He's only thrown 11.1 innings already. So
I think it's going to be tough for that to work fantasy wise this season, to be honest.
Yeah, I think maybe he gets birdsong type treatment where he comes. That's the way pitchers used to be developed. We've talked about this before,
and that's 4 outings, 11 innings. By the way, it's not like he had 2. It's just he's going like 2 or 3 innings to start.
But Earl Weaver, Larry Dierker, a lot of other. I think the Twins used to do this. Like they did this with some of their pitching prospects.
Frank Viola?
No,
Scott Erickson, Brad Radke.
Lefty, a great pitcher. But flamed out.
Francisco Liriano.
No,
damn.
Jesus, he's like robbed of a Cy Young one year by Bob Welch.
Johan Santana?
Yes, thank you. God. What is wrong with these guys?
Bob Welch won 27 games that year. What are you talking? Come on.
Yes, his wins, but look at Santana was a better pitcher, and it. Take off your A's hat.
By the way, that can't be the same year. Santana was not throwing an 80.
No, he wasn't throwing that age. There's someone else that was robbed. Yeah, I know. But anyways, Santana is very good at baseball. And he started as a reliever. That was the point I was getting at there. That he was developed as a reliever. A lot of pitchers used to go that path, and it was a really good way to kind of break them into the majors. Yeah. Teams aren't allowing for that as often anymore.
I am now looking who Bob Welch. Oh, he robbed Roger Clemens that year.
Okay, yeah. Santana and Clemens often confused for each other.
Clemens was a 1.93 ERA that year.
Yeah.
And a 2.11 ERA plus. Good Lord.
Yeah. So who robbed Santana? Because obviously that's
Bartolo Colon robbed Santana, right?
That's right. Thank you. Thank you.
You're besmirching. You're calling me my A's hat. Come on, Bob Welch won 27 games.
Yeah, he still wasn't the best pitcher.
Yeah. No, you're right. It was Clemens. I knew there was someone that year. Obviously, it wasn't the line of. Yeah, Cologne was Angels that year. Is that right?
Could be. But yeah, it's there was I don't even think that Santana was even the second place finisher that year. It was Rivero, I think it was maybe.
Yeah, Cologne won it with the Angels in 2005.
Rivera it was Cologne, Rivera, and then Santana.
Santana was he was really good. Rivera was really good. Rivera was really good that year too. But yeah, Santana had 238 strikeouts here and a whip under 1. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, and it's just because Cologne had 21 wins and Santana only was 16-7. In an era where
you can even argue that Mark Burley was better than Cologne that year too.
Yeah, well, look at the WAR stats. WAR isn't everything, but Cologne had a 4.0 and Santana 7.2.
Mario Rivera's ERA plus that year was 3.08.
That's insane. Also, yeah, he's
Good
good.
Lord, that's crazy. So,
Yeah.
well, I think we had everything. Anybody else you want to talk about? Anything else on your mind? Anything else that you want to bring up?
No, I'm good. I'm really good.
I didn't think we get a Bob Welsh Cy Young discussion. That's pretty good.
Yeah, true. Hey, I'm
Kelly. That A's team was awesome, and unfortunately, they lost that year to Jeff's Reds.
Yes, that was a good year.
Yeah.
Also, good day today. Pacers won over Cavs, and that was a super fun game back and forth. Cavs are awesome too. The Pacers just could not miss. It was awesome.
Well, speaking of can't miss, Buddy Hield was still 9 of 11 tonight.
Yeah, that's gonna be just in the lore of
again at Game 7. Like that's an all-time Game 7. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Do you feel like the Pacers have a chance to win this series?
I do now. I didn't before.
You had to steal one when Garland was out. That was key. Like you had to get one of these games when Garland's out. I still think Cleveland will be really, really tough to beat because I think the Cavs are really good. I think you just think
they're a wagon. Their
really
offense is tough.
I kind of thought it was just Cavs Celtics, but man, this Pacers team is. I don't know if they'll play quite enough defense to win the series, but man, are they fun and they are really efficient offense. Their offense is so fun to watch.
They got into a case where just two guys were taking all their shots today, and I thought that was kind of a problem. They didn't hit their threes. I was
just saying, if you get Ty Jerome to take 20 shots a game, I like your chances, though.
Yeah.
He's had a great year, but that's not who you want taking 20 shots.
I agree. So,
cool. Well, thanks, everyone, for listening. We got a couple Cavs fans in the chat who are upset with us now, so it's a good time for us to get out of here. We much appreciate everybody listening. Always a lot of fun. Appreciate all the chatter in there. Listen to us in the audio version. We appreciate that as well. If you please rate and review the podcast, also a good thing, too. And we will back at you next Sunday talking a lot of baseball. Hope everybody's a really good week, and take care.